Hi, this is Julie Hart, and you're listening to Pipebomb Radio, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
Howdy, howdy, everyone. This is Paul London, the Intrepid Traveler, and you are listening to Pipebomb Radio.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and certified DDP yoga instructor Stevie Richards telling you that you're listening to Pipebomb Radio.
This is the King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett, the founder and CEO of Global Force Wrestling, and you're listening to Pipebomb Radio.
I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones, enough to make my system blow.
You're listening to Pipebomb Radio with your host, the founder, Felix Olmedo, and the Godfather, Nate Milton.
Welcome to the new age. I'm radioactive.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pipebomb Radio tonight. Just making sure everybody knows that, unfortunately, I am still running things blindly without control, so I've had Elio running the controls for me for the last couple of weeks. So I don't really know what the hell's going on. I don't know if anybody heard any music or not. Well, let's hope that it did play through on the once it downloads. So we should be live. It should be live now. We should be live and up and going.
Oh, no, we're on the air, yep.
Tonight we're going to be doing the rundown of Night of Champions, touch on Monday Night Raw tonight, and a lot more. Tonight, of course, our returning panelist that's going to be joining us, joining Nate and myself, would be Mike Mills from Booking the Territory, and a guy who calls in periodically to talk to us at Pipebomb and also on Not Your Mama's Radio. Is a good friend of mine. He's a local comedian here in the San Fernando Valley. He is Frank, and he'll be calling in later tonight to chime in on the conversation and have some fun. I guess you could say he'd be our color analyst, if you will. And I'm not sure, is Nate calling in yet, Elio? I will assume that's a no.
Yep, he's calling in right now.
All right, cool.
He's on right now.
Hey, how you doing? I'm about to call you Elio, Nate. My bad. Uh-oh. Unless that was Mike that called in.
Actually, I have a 504 area code.
That might be Mike, but go ahead and check it just to be sure.
Okay, one moment.
In the meantime, we'll be waiting for Nate to call in as well. Going to be breaking down Night of Champions. And after the go-home show for Monday Night Raw last night, should be interesting to see. Yes, sir.
Okay, Mike's calling in.
All righty, sounds good. Put him through.
All right, go ahead.
Mike, how you doing, pal?
Hey, Felix, what's going on, man?
I've been running blindly with no controls. Other than that, I've been pretty good.
I'm doing
I had
good,
to have
man.
my audio guy running things for me.
And nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no, not at all. It kind of takes the pressure off, but at the same time, I'm the kind of person that I like to know what's going on, so I like to see the controls. I like to be in control because I've been doing this for so long. It's force of habit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
But and I was just talking, saying, what we're going to have planned for tonight. Got another guest calling in, a friend of mine that's going to be helping breaking down the pay-per-view, talking about Monday Night Raw, the hits and misses, if you will.
Right.
And it should be fun. I mean, the last month when we did this, who would have thought we would have went 2 hours? I sure did.
I know. We went the whole 2 hours. I mean, you were at the very end of it. You were like, man, we went the whole 2. I gotta wrap this puppy up.
I know, huh?
Yeah. It was fun, though. I had a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And
definitely appreciate you bringing me back.
Oh no, it's fun, man. We got to keep it interesting because I'm pretty sure people get tired of hearing Nate and I talk. So I got to bring in some fresh voices and keep it interesting. Get another point of view because we not saying that Nate and I have differences of opinion. We do, but not very often. It's not as bad as my former co-host who tends to try to chime in from time to time with his nonsense. And God help me if he probably calls in again. But because he seems to think he's got it in with the authority And after seeing Seth Rollins' statue get destroyed, God, I can only imagine that kid's going to call in there and have something to say about the whole situation. And if Nate's going to be listening in, I know he knows very well. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. That being said, let's just go ahead and break it down now. Nate can catch up with us. What did you think of Monday Night Raw last night?
Man, I enjoyed it in the beginning, and then I can't lie. As a former WCW fan, the end, it was like the steak that sizzled real hot at first, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's nothing against Big Show and Sting. When they announced that, I'm thinking to myself, this is 1996, 1998 that I'm thinking in my mind, and here we are, 2015, and this is Sting's first match on Monday Night Raw. It started off great, but I just couldn't buy into that. In the finish, I was fine with that, but I just thought, why not announce that from the start? Why not announce?
Felix.
Yeah, what's up? Hey, Ilya, what's up, man?
Nate's on right now. He's calling in.
Nate, my man, how you doing, man?
And we have another one on hold.
Okay,
from 818.
Area code 81. Okay, that'll be my boy Frankie.
Okay,
so, Nate, are you on, Nate?
What's going on, Felix?
You joined the party, man. It's a party line now. It's a party line.
Yeah, man. You know, I didn't want to come on too early because my Falcons won and Brother Mike's Saints lost. So I didn't want all that animosity and tension at the start of the show, so I decided to slide on in a little bit later.
Frankie, are you on, man?
I am on, Felix.
All righty. We got the whole cast and crew here ready to go have some fun. Obviously, we heard the remarks here for those football fans. Nate talking about the Falcons losing, so we had to kind of get a little chuckle at that one. I don't watch football, so I don't really pay attention to none of that. So we'll have some fun tonight. But I wanted to get everybody's intake. I mean, at this point, they were promoting Monday Night Raw with the season premiere, if you will, and they had a couple of high-profile matches, and that being the Divas match, which showed Nikki Bella. One way or another, she was going to make history. She was either going to go in and beat AJ Lee's record, or Charlotte was going to come in and beat her for the title with her dad there ringside. Well, there in the building anyway. And then, of course, there was the first time ever Sting competing on Monday Night Raw, which, as Mike and I were just talking about, it's just kind of typical. It was disappointing to see it because it was not so much the fact that it was a WCW revisit, being taken on the Giant from WCW 1995-ish, 96-ish, for those who remember and followed WCW, and I know, Frank, you did. The whole thing, it was promoted as a main event for Sting versus Big Show, turned into a tag match because they had to throw Super Cena into this. And then, of course, with Rollins, who has double duty at the Night of Champions show this Sunday. You know, I'll start with you, Mike, because we were just talking about this. The whole thing with these two high-profile matches and everything else. And I know everybody had to have seen Triple H and Stephanie getting jiggy with it. So I got to hear everybody's opinion about all that. So, Mike, I'll start with you, man, since I started asking you that question.
Oh, you want me to talk about the beginning or where I was leaving off with the whole WCW?
Wherever you want to go, man. Wherever you want to go.
First, the whole New Day thing, it's funny you asked that because we were talking about that on my show earlier. And just the Stephanie and Triple H and the awkwardness of watching them dance with the New Day, I can't lie. I mean, I was on the floor dying laughing. But to go back to the point I was making about Big Show and Sting, just this whole thing about Sting not having a match on Raw, and when he finally does have one, they announce it as him and Big Show, and then it ends up being a tag match. I just wish that they just would have announced it that way from the start. Because it just was really awkward. They came out there and it felt like it was real quick. It was not real quick, but they kind of mixed it up for a second and it turns into a tag match. I'm like, why didn't they just announce that from the start? What would have the harm have been? That was my feelings on it. Because it fizzled, like I was telling you, it started off real fast and it started off real hot, raw. All together. And then by the time it got to hour 3, I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it was kind of dragging. It was kind of dragging that third hour. Nate, what you think about that whole thing, man?
Well, first of all, shout out to brother Triple H. He's pretty fly for a white guy. Or not. Now, you know, I think you guys probably watched Monday Night Raw on Monday, but I thought I was watching an episode of Monday Night Raw because we had Sting, we had Flair, we had the Big Show, and the guy that's running the whole show, the authority figure, is terrorizing.
Oh my God, he didn't just go there.
But
that was a good one.
I completely agree with Mike, though, because I think, and I will give the WWE credit, because what they did this past Monday was what they should have been doing all along, which is highlighting Sting's career and showing why he was a threat to Seth Rollins instead of doing all that silly stuff with the statue for the past 3 weeks. They should have been focusing on why this guy is a credible threat to your world champion. And I thought that announcing the match with the Big Show was just a silly idea. Like Mike said, man, if you want to do the tag match, announce the tag match, because that's big enough in itself. You know, you got Sting, who was the flagship of WCW in the 90s, and you got John Cena, who's been the flagship of the WWE for the past 15 years. And it's like you got these two icons of different eras. That's enough right there off the top to hook the audience in instead of doing a little bait and switch they did at the end of the show. Sure,
I can agree with that. And, you know, some are even saying that it should have been better to maybe have Cena take on Sting, but I think that'll be down the line a bit. Nothing right now. But, Frank, I got to pose a question to you, man. I know you saw the highlights. You saw the match. I'm not sure how far, and I wanted to get your thoughts. Do you think they should have just threw it as a tag team match, main event? Was it a revisit to Monday Nitro? Did you like Triple H getting jiggy with it? Was it funny to you? Overall, I mean, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw.
I thought Monday Night Raw, I agree with all you guys. I think it dragged a little bit. It kind of I kind of felt like little Bill Cosby is being put to sleep, so I don't know.
Oh my God. Ouch. Whoa.
I thought they could do a little bit more, you know, being as the going home show, and I felt that, you know, I love the New Day. Stephanie McMahon can get down, but Triple H kind of looked like a fish out of water on that one. And as far as the main event, they should have booked Sting with somebody else.
Who do you think would have been a better match against Sting instead of Big Show?
I mean, you guys might not agree with me, but the man that Gravity forgot, I think that would have been a cool match for him to get away, because I think Neville could hold his own and push Sting a little bit farther, make him get over a little bit more. Okay,
I'll give you that one. That would have been interesting to watch. And I know Sting is all about getting in there with the young guys and getting pushed to his limits as well as pushing them to theirs. I like that. Okay. All right. And the question I'm going to pose to everybody, and either one of y'all can chime in at any time. Nate knows how I feel about this. He knows very well. That whole Diva mess, they either accomplished their goal of getting people talking, or they purposely just had to piss everybody off, because this was a shot at Punk and AJ, with AJ having 295 days as Divas champion. Was it a shot at Punk? Did they accomplish their goal of getting people talking about her being the longest reigning Divas champion? The whole thing was obviously the Memphis screw job, if you will, because made her think that she won it. In turn, she did, because she pinned the wrong sister. So they played the little twin magic. Of course, that's not going to come into play this Sunday, but then what's that going to matter? The whole thing was to try to get her to not surpass AJ's title reign, and obviously she's already done that.
Whew, you put a lot on the table there, Felix, and obviously the listeners know. The listeners know by now that you are completely biased against the Bellas.
I don't know if bias is the right word, but
I don't know why you won't just join the Bellabration like the rest of us and enjoy this moment. That the best woman was Victorious.
Wow.
But here's the thing. I think it was a shot at AJ and to a degree CM Punk. But it's a silly shot, because at the end of the day, what are we talking about? This isn't the women's title that Fabulous Moolah and Trish Stratus and Alundra Blaze and people like that held. This is the Divas title that is still relatively new and still has its own history that it needs to create. My issue with the match that we saw on Monday night was I thought that I wish they would have started this whole Bella stuff with the countdown 3 or 4 weeks ago, because it would have made Monday night more impactful. And B, I wish they would have made the title switch. I wish what they would have done, if I was writing the story, what I would have done is you have the clock, and you have the clock set to the correct time, because the countdown clock ended at midnight, which she didn't win the damn title at midnight. So stop lying to me, WWE. I wish they had the clock set to the right time, which probably would have been about 10 o'clock Eastern. You start the match at 9:55, and Nikki's just running, trying to beat the clock, and it gets to 10 o'clock, and she's happy, and she's celebrating, and her and Alicia and Brie are all happy, and then Charlotte's like, okay, I'm going to let you have that, but now I'm about to whoop your ass. And then that's when we see Charlotte get into Flair mode, just dominate this woman and win the title, and that sets up the rematch at Night of Champions. That's how I would have done it.
Okay. All right. And Frank, what you think, man? Did you enjoy this whole Divas Revolution?
I really thoroughly enjoyed the Divas Revolution. I honestly do. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for the business. I honestly think what they're trying to do is destroy Punk legacy, just like when Brock Lesnar became the youngest champion. All of a sudden, they had Randy Orton try to become the youngest champion, and they forgot that he beat Chris Benoit, so they try not to remember that again. So I really think it was towards CM Punk.
Okay. And are you a fan? Are you a part of the Bella universe? I guess you could say the Bella fanatics out there. Are you a Bella fan?
I enjoy the Bellas. There's something to look at, but I think they're a little tiny bit over. I think they're a little bit overrated, but I'm pretty big on Charlotte though.
You love you some twin magic. You wouldn't mind having a little twin magic here.
Oh,
not gonna say any more than that.
I love it.
And Mike, with this whole thing, the way that they're doing this Diva Revolution, we've talked about this in the past, and I think you even chimed in on this as well. It just seems so much like they're throwing so many divas out at you. They almost don't even know what to do with it. And out of the bunch, to step up and be, obviously out of the group of all the girls that they sent over, Charlotte was the one they felt shined the most. Do you think Charlotte was the right choice to go in against Nikki? Could there have been maybe a Sasha Banks or even Becky Lynch? Do you think they would have been ready instead of Charlotte, or do you think they're grooming her to take over the women's division?
I think Sasha would have been the better choice, but I was fine with Charlotte getting the match. Okay. My whole thing with, it's true, Vince had an ego deal, and basically that's why Nikki beat AJ Lee's record, if you want to call it a record. And I'm with Nate. If you really calculated it out, why don't you really do it the right way if you're going to do that? But I'm neither here nor there on it. At this point, honestly, I thought about this as I was on my show. I want WWE now, since they've kind of crapped on this whole AJ Lee record, with the belt. I want WWE to lean into it. Really make the fans mad at this point. I mean, if you're going to go for it, and keep the belt on Nikki for a while longer. I'm serious. Okay. I mean, that's how I feel. You want to, if you want to be a heel with it, be a heel. Don't half step. Go all the way. And will it make some fans mad? Yeah, but I guarantee you they'll keep watching.
And they'll keep talking about it. That's obviously what they've been wanting to do. It's all publicity is not always the best, but at the same time they take every kind of publicity they can get.
Exactly.
And while we'll go ahead and jump into Night of Champions, we've got a total of 8 matches signed. One obviously is going to be off of the kickoff, which makes really no sense that they do this, but I guess I understand it. And if we have to kick it off, we'll just go ahead and do that first with Neville, Frank's boy, Neville and the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto and Sin Cara. Sin Cara taking on the Cosmic Wasteland, led by Stardust and the Ascension. Going into this, they built up a little feud within the last 2 weeks And there you got a match. Now, this goes back to the idea of just throwing something together just to fill a filler space, to fill the space for matches and so forth. And I think it's a good idea that they put it on the kickoff. Had they put it on the main show, it just wouldn't have made sense. Not that it makes sense now, but coming out of this pay-per-view with the kickoff, do we see the High Flyers destroy the Cosmic Wasteland? Or does the Red Arrow and the Lucha Dragons come out victorious? I'll go with you, Mike.
This is funny because I've been thinking about this, and I actually have a lot of interest in this match, even though it's just a pre-show. Okay. People be like, "Really, Stardust and Connor and Victor and this whole Neville thing with the Lucha Dragons." But here's why I want to watch it. I want to see what they do with Connor and Victor because I think the way they built them, like it just came off really cheesy and whatnot, and they ended up getting buried at the bottom of the roster of Raw. I want to see what they do just based on the fact that I like those two guys, and I just think they were booked bad. So I do want to see it. I'm actually going to go with Neville and the Lucha Dragons, even though I really would like to see Stardust and Connor and Victor get there. I really would, but I'll go with Neville and the Lucha Dragons. All
right, and Nate, it seems as though all six of these guys are getting lost in this whole build-up. Maybe not lost, maybe they're right where they need to be, but at the same time, people complaining about Stardust's character and needing to revert back to Cody and what have you, because he's kind of going into other dimensions, if you will, of his character and just kind of being out of the ordinary, which is what it seems he and his brother were always so good at. Teaming up with the Ascension, who most people thought were just a knockoff of Demolition, a knockoff of the Legion of Doom, came in, it's just like Mike said, came in and were completely destroyed by the APA, by the New Age Outlaws. Just to basically show you, hey, kid, you're in the big leagues now. And now they're going to bring him back out and repackage him with Stardust. I like the idea. But in this particular whole match that they put together, do you think they have a chance against the High Flyers?
No. Absolutely not. I'm going to co-sign Brother Mike for two reasons. One, because you got to look at this match and say, who's the guy with the most potential? And I think it's a toss-up between Cody and Neville. And Neville's the guy that they built so much up for that last show with the Stephen Amell interaction. Yeah. And so I think him and the Lucha Dragons are going to go over. But the other reason I think that I got to go with those guys is because you mentioned Cody Rhodes and how much the fans want the old Cody back. And I think a way to get him there is to have him be at odds. And the Ascension, I'm not a big fan of the Ascension, never have been, never will be. They are the lima beans of my pro wrestling dinner. I'm just not gonna be cool with it, no matter how much you try to put butter or hot sauce or Lowry seasoning salt on it. I'm not gonna get it. But I think if you have him lose with the Ascension and the Ascension turn on Cody, that's a way for Cody to not only get sympathy. And I'm not saying it should happen at this match. I think it's a process that we should have going down the road where they continue to lose and the Ascension finally say, you know what, we're the big tough guys. We don't need this crazy little guy. They beat on Cody. Cody has nobody to turn to except for family. And God willing, hopefully Dustin's ready to come back by then and we can get the Rhodes brothers. We can get the Rhodes brothers versus the Ascension, and that'll lead to Cody coming back as Cody Rhodes eventually.
Okay, I can see that. That's actually not a bad idea. And in the meantime, they can go do with this what they will. I'm sure he'll want to see it to the end, obviously. And Frank, I know you've been watching Neville and been a fan of the high flying. Now, do you dig the whole comic book feel to it?
I dig it, and I know we moved the topic to Night of Champions, but just one more thing about Monday Night Raw. When I saw Triple H dancing, I haven't seen Triple H mess up some dance moves like that since he pedigreed Marty Garner on Superstars. But anyways,
holy cow.
Night of well, I mean, he messed up Marty Garner pretty bad. Anyways, Night of Champions. With that match though, I'm gonna go with Neville, but I I do like the Stardust character. I honestly thought he got, I thought he got over on me, and I like the Stardust character a lot. But I'm gonna go with Neville on that one.
All right. You know, I want to see this faction of Stardust and the Ascension progress to see where exactly they can go with it. Because right now it's just a very corny, comic booky type feel that I'm getting from them. It's not a bad feel, but it's a feeling because it's something different. It's something I haven't seen. We have so many different factions right now, and this is something completely out of the ordinary, which is a good thing, especially for the entertainment business. Now, in this particular match itself, I would like to see Stardust and the Ascension come out of it. Am I a fan of the Ascension? Yeah. I enjoyed them probably a little bit more in NXT, but now they're like a small fish in a humongous ocean, and they just don't. I don't know if they can stand it in the tag team. I think they're going to eventually split them up. That's my prediction as far as the tag team goes. But the winners of this match, I'm gonna go out on a limb and go with Stardust and the Ascension. That being said, we move into a whole different ball of wax, and I'll tell you why I say this. The Wyatt family, oh mama, did they step it up these last few months? We saw the return of Luke Harper and of course they bring in, and most expected Eric Rowan to return. Of course, he got injured earlier this summer. And the battle between Ambrose and Reigns and the Wyatt family has just continued to escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate. And then they bring in this gigantic beast and annihilated both Reigns and Ambrose on Raw the night after SummerSlam. Not to mention Randy Orton and Jimmy Uso. So now we've got Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Braun Strowman taking on Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and a partner to be announced, which they've announced. They have a partner. They just haven't announced who. Now, I think the way they did that was smart. Why give it out on Raw when they can just make them more of the reason to tune in on Sunday to watch? Most have speculated it could be Eric Rowan. It could be somebody out of the ordinary that nobody would see coming. Maybe Kane. Who the hell knows? Maybe Randy Orton. In this particular matchup between these two that have constantly been going at it for months, Nate, I'm going to go to you, man, because you and I both dig the Wyatt family, and it just seems like a battle that Ambrose and Reigns just haven't been able to. They've won, but they haven't been able. The war's not over yet, if you will. In this particular battle, do Ambrose and Reigns continue their winning streak, or does the Wyatt family come back and end it once and for all? Nate, are you still there?
Yeah, I had to take a dramatic pause because
I gave you a mouthful there.
Because the mystery tag team partner is such a dramatic hook, and I think, man, they are setting themselves up for. I think they're setting themselves up for disappointment from the fans because obviously there's rumors. Because obviously if I were doing it, I think. Jimmy would have been the guy I would have gone with because Roman Reigns made a point to talk about family and family and family. And if you're not going to go the way of The Rock, who I think Night of Champions is not a big enough show to bring The Rock back on, then you got to go with one of the Usos, and Jimmy's the only guy available. But now Jimmy's been taken out, and there's rumors of the Baron Corbin cat from NXT as maybe the guy they bring up, and I don't know if he's the guy put in this situation. So they boxed themselves into a corner because this is the spot, if you believe the reports, where Sting was going to go. Sting was going to be the guy to come out and help Ambrose and Reigns against the Wyatts, which I think would have been a really interesting dynamic. And I just don't know if there's anybody on the roster that would give you that kind of whoa. That's a big moment. The one guy I'd like to see though, if they're going to go to NXT, I would prefer they not go with Baron Corbin, and I would prefer they just go ahead and bring up Samoa Joe, and you can lie to me and tell me that they're related somehow because I'm sure Vince McMahon probably thinks they are related. No shade on Vince, But he's like, hey, they're both Samoan. They're probably cousins somewhere. So I would like to see Samoa Joe be that guy.
Do you think that Ambrose and Reigns will come out victorious in this matter, or do you think that the Wyatts will actually take them down a notch, and this battle will continue all the way to Survivor Series?
Yeah, still too early. I think what we're eventually going to get is a Survivor Series with the three Wyatts that we got now, plus a returning Eric Rowan, versus the Shield guys and the Usos, or maybe they throw The Rock in there if Jay can't play, if Jay can't go. But yeah, I think we got to set up to a big 8-man tag at Survivor Series.
All right. And Frank, I know you're a fan of the Wyatts. I know you dig the Wyatt family. I know I do, but I know you do too. What's your take on this?
I dig the Wyatt family a lot, and I think Braun Strowman's a beast, man. This guy he's scary looking. He can do some damage, and I think that it puts the fans in a position where, you know, we're really back to the Wyatt family when they lost a lot of steam earlier before, when they, you know, we were getting Bray losing a bunch of matches when they had putting him up. And I totally agree with what Nate said. You know, I could see Samoa Joe coming into this. You know, we have him there in NXT. He can go. They've given guys who didn't have that much experience to push before. Why not Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe can go, and I do believe this match in particular on the card has a Survivor Series-esque type feel with the mystery partner. When back in the days in Survivor Series, you know, sometimes they didn't tell us who the partners were, and sometimes they just stroked us with Doink, Pink, Dink, and Ink, or whatever their names were.
Oh, Jesus. Let's not go down that road.
but I agree 100% with Nate. I would love to see Samoa Joe in it. I don't think Sting. I mean, I couldn't see Sting doing 2 matches in one night. I can't see that happening. So I'm going with Samoa Joe as a mystery partner.
Okay. And do you think that the Wyatts will come out victorious, or do you think do we see the winning streak continue with Ambrose and Reigns coming out the victors?
The Wyatts are coming victorious out of this, and that's what I'm going with. That's my pick right there.
All right. And Mike, you heard the decision, the picks out of Frank and Nate, and I'm curious to hear your take on this, because it's been an interesting little feud between these factions here. What's your take on this whole scenario?
I definitely think it's too early for this thing to end, so I'm going to go with the Wyatts again. I think I may have picked them last time on this deal. I'm definitely going with the Wyatts. I feel I'm kind of like Nate. I've said this about this whole mystery opponent. This isn't WCW in 1996 when we didn't know who the third outsider was, which would end up being the NWO, where Hogan comes out where there is a light of mystery in it. So, like, I agree, like, with Nate saying, if you don't stroll somebody out there who's, you know, really a hard, heavy hitter like The Rock, or, I mean, I'm not saying this would happen, or like a Stone Cold type name. I mean, it's going to be a disappointment. With that said, I'd love to see Samoa Joe, but, man, I just don't know. I mean, it's going to have to be somebody solid. Otherwise, they're setting themselves up for a big disappointment where the fans are like, oh.
Fair enough. And do you see that the Wyatts coming out victorious in this whole situation?
I think they do, and I think this thing keeps going, and they're gonna string this thing out. They might string it out past another pay-per-view at this point, not just this one.
Okay. Now, my take on this, I have to say, it's going to end up being a setup for failure, and I'll tell you why. Because they're going to go with somebody like a Randy Orton. They're going to go with somebody like, possibly even an NXT choice, because I feel like they don't really want to put Joe into this right away. I think they're going to save him for a special occasion. Not saying it couldn't happen, and hey, you know what? My decisions haven't always been the right ones. I've obviously not always been perfect on our choices here, but Nate knows that pretty well. I feel like they're going to put Randy Orton in this, even though he hasn't had any momentum at all this year, or last year. But as far as this whole thing, they've got too much momentum on their side. I can't see them slowing down. I have to go with the Wyatts coming out on top on this one. There's just no other way to bring this. If you continue to make them lose, what the hell's the point? You know, you're giving Reigns and Ambrose this unstoppable type of unity, and it just seems like the Wyatts continue to get bigger and stronger. literally. But moving on, we'll get out of that little whole mess. But that's an interesting tag match. But we'll go to another one that just seems, I want to say disappointing, but not really. But just like, I'm hoping that maybe this guy can do something with this big.
Felix?
Yes, sir.
We have a caller on the line.
What area code?
985.
I have a feeling I know who this bonehead is that's calling in. So let him come on in.
Okay.
Nate knows exactly who this is going to be. Good God, help us all. How you doing, Austin?
How do you know it was me? Damn, you know what?
Dude,
I have no clue what you've done to the show, but last week I couldn't make it because I was too busy picking up the pieces, the scraps out of the Baltimore trash compactor after that. What's his name again? Oh, okay, it's Sting. Sting pushed Seth Rollins' statue into the trash compactor. That pissed me off.
Were you crying up a river
putting
like,
it back together
like
with Scotch tape and glue.
Were you crying a river like Seth Rollins was? Oh my God, I can't believe, why are you doing this to me? He was crying up a river. Were you crying with him too?
Seriously?
You know you were.
Look, the Kleenex is another story. They're sold out of CVS, but we might have some at Walgreens.
If you need some tissue, Austin, just ask Brie Bella. She's got plenty.
Well, you're gonna need some tissues too after I put something in your drink. Diarrhea is a bad thing.
You know, the funny thing is that we haven't actually reached the Seth Rollins matches yet, and yet I had a feeling you would be chiming in ahead of time. So,
do you think I listen to your show or follow into what you're trying to say here? I'm not sure where you're at, and I'm talking about Night of Champions.
I think I'm your
Sunday
idol,
night.
man. I think you idolize me, so that's why you keep coming back for more. You keep wanting to learn from the master. What can I say?
I don't know what you're talking about, the idols, but I mean, if you're talking about an icon, Seth Rollins is an icon, and Sting is a guy that, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't even be in a WWE ring at his age right now. Because Seth Rollins is like a lot younger than him, and you know who I am.
So what would Ric Flair's excuse be for getting in the ring over 60 and still acting like a maniac and still people love him? Sting is only 56
that's a different
years
story.
old.
Ric Flair's crazy.
And Sting is not?
Sting is, I don't know, he's on the same level as that of the Undertaker, using his special powers and with what is it called, witchcraft and wizardry in order to get to
black
from
magic.
A to B, and that's not fair.
He's a black magic Sting. There you go. All right. Chime in later, man. We're gonna keep going here. You're welcome to hang in there if you like, but we're gonna keep going.
Good. I have control of it. I'll go as long as I want to. Like Ric Flair and Harley Race back in the day. Remember that, Nate, buddy?
I'm just wondering.
Now he's your buddy? Wow.
Yeah, now we're buddies. But yeah, I thought you blocked this number, Felix.
I tried, man. And, I don't know if he's got the connections with other people, but, Anyway.
Felix, come on.
Moving
Hello City 972. Change your password to something more cool. Something more, security-wise. Maybe you'll actually, have some control one day that you don't have any right now. And Elio's not doing too good of a job keeping it secure.
All right, Elio, cut him off. We can come back on later, but he's done. Cut him off. That's enough of that nonsense. Moving on, we have the Intercontinental title match. Remember, folks, all the titles on the line at Night of Champions. We have the champion Ryback taking on Kevin Owens. People complain about both guys. One's a big goof that holds the title and is pretty much an irrelevant champion. The other guy is a fat guy who people complain about, who think he's not going to amount to nothing. But, you know what? I'm more of a fan of the fat guy, I'll be honest with you, because the guy can have amazing matches. Whereas Ryback has had a track record of hurting people. I'm sorry. You know what? May he rest in peace. Ryback reminded me a lot of the early years of the Ultimate Warrior. And I don't mean the Bash Warrior in any way. I just mean Warrior was he was very dangerous in the ring. And like I said, this is not the Bash, but there's a comparison there, the two, with their styles. Very, what's the word I want to use? In your face, where their muscles did more of their talking than their wrestling ability. that being said, this match was thrown together, obviously, to fill in because all the titles were on the line. Mike, I'm going to start with you, man. And I'm going to ask, does Ryback stand a chance with Owens? Or is Owens kind of going to be in there losing another match? I mean, he won it, obviously, against Cesaro, but that's another story.
I got to believe they're going to put it on Owens. I don't think.
You think so?
I sure hope so. But I do. If I gotta say anything, it's going to be that Owen takes the title and runs with it, and he elevates it. He makes it what I'm not going to say he'll make it what a Steamboat or a Savage did back in the day, but he runs with it and he does some good things with it. Because Kevin Owens is, in today's day and age, he is a great heel. I agree. He comes across as just nasty, and I don't care. Yeah, I got a belly and I got a T-shirt on, but I'm gonna kick your butt. It's flat out, and I want to see him with the belt. I just do. He's that good. And I told you, Felix, I got all the respect in the world for him because of the road he's traveled. I mean, nothing was given to him. He deserves it. Give it to him and let him run with it. This is not a slight on Ryback, but did you see last night? I mean, to me, Kevin Owens made that promo what it was. It wasn't Ryback. It was Kevin Owens. So, yeah, my prediction is Owens wins. At least I'm hoping for that. And it should be good based on the fact that it's Owens.
And, Frank, I'm not sure if you're a fan of Ryback or if you're familiar with Kevin Owens. But
I know both of them. I can follow it.
Oh, no. Fair enough. I wasn't sure because I know Owens is still fairly new. And you knew Ryback because of.
I think Kevin Owens is very over. I see a lot of his merchandise out there. To be honest with you, I've seen his pretty much the same as I've seen Cena's when I'm out at the mall or I'm at a commercial performance. I've seen Owens. I mean, it's pretty big down here where I live, but I've seen Owens pretty big. With this match right here with the IC belt, I don't think the IC title means what it used to be. I think it means 10 times more to the wrestler than it does to us fans of the IC champion. I think the new workhorse belt is the Money in the Bank, but with that being said, I think Kevin Owens goes over on this one. I can't see Ryback. I can't see him winning and retaining that. I just think Kevin Owens goes over on it, and they get a little bit more of a mobile Intercontinental champion, maybe a little bit better for the fans, as Ryback is only limited to so much.
Very true. And my man Nate, what you think, man? We got a new champion, or we got a champion retaining at Night of Champions?
Well, Felix, my prediction, even though, both you and I, we're trying to get our bodies right. We out here working on our fitness. But in this case, Felix, I'm going to say feed me more.
Okay.
Because I'm going with the big guy. And I think what Mike said and what Frank said is true in the sense of fans responding to Kevin Owens and fans getting behind Kevin Owens. But I also think you have to look at who the WWE likes to target a lot of times, and that's their younger viewers. And with Ryback and Owens, you've almost got the same situation you had when Punk fought Cena, where you had the older crowd completely behind one dude and the younger fans behind the other guy. And so I think this feud is going to go on for a little bit longer because I don't think either guy really has a great opponent on the horizon. I mean, Owens has got some good matchups, but Ryback is very limited, as we said. So I think putting him in there with Owens is probably the best he can do for now. So I think this goes for at least one more pay-per-view. So Ryback's going to retain. One more for the big guy.
Okay. Interesting outlook on that. I agree. I like both. I like everybody's outlook on it. It's definitely different. I'd like to see Owens come out of this with the title. But, again, I'm going to have to go with Nate on this one. And the reason I say that is because I think they're really investing a lot of time and money into this guy for him to lose. I'd like him to, personally. But I don't see it happening so soon. I could see it definitely being dragged over to Hell in a Cell for another match, maybe see Owens take it then. Or maybe even for that matter, maybe Owens coming out of this with the DQ win and it's still being dragged over, or whatever the case. But it being dragged over to one more pay-per-view. And that's where we see Owens take the title. And I really believe if Owens can take this title, if and when it happens, he can actually make it somewhat more relevant again. because it hasn't meant anything. Like Frank said, it hasn't meant nothing in years. And it's a shame because going back to the 90s and the 80s, that was like the number 2 person in the company. It was your IC champion. Because after the IC belt, you're the stepping stone on into the world title picture. Or in Warrior's case, he won the title in one night. 2 titles in one night. So that being said, moving on. God help me, Nate. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. The soap opera continues. He likes her. She likes him. She loves him. She hates him. Dolph Ziggler, and Rusev. This time, Lana's not in the picture. Now, if she is, wink, wink, really hurt, she will not show up at Night of Champions. However, they're not promoting her to show up. I still feel like she might. However, I do also think that there's something going on to where Ziggler is playing games with Summer Rae, because Summer Rae has obviously been trying to make it seem like Dolph's got eyes for her. Obviously, that whole caught him naked in the shower bit that they tried to do a couple weeks ago. This is such a freaking soap opera. We go from a comic book to start it off to a soap opera in between. So here we are, Dolph Ziggler, Rusev, part 14, I think. Anyway, this match is not for a title. This match is really nothing. It really hasn't. It hasn't proved anything. Will it continue? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say yes. It's going to continue. It's probably going to go to Survivor Series until it's finally over with. And Frank, I want to put it to you, man. I want to hear your outlook on this because, you know what? You're going to bring comedy into a match that I just don't know if I want to see anymore. Fire away, my friend. Fire away.
All right, well, I'll be honest. I haven't been this disappointed of a match on a big card since the Big Show versus Akibono. With this match right here, Dolph and Rusev, I just think, man, this is the time for all of us guys. You know, usually we do it during the Divas match or a throwaway match. We just go use the restroom, come back, and I don't want to see this match. I don't want to see it. It's like the 19th season of the Kardashians. It was hot when it first came out and you watched it, but I'm over it. And let's bring on Caitlyn Jenner. No, I'm just playing. But I think the fans were over it. We don't want to see it. Let's just come on, Vince, come on, Paul. Let's just do something about it. But since I am part of the panel tonight, and I appreciate all you guys working with me tonight, I'm gonna go with Dolph on this one.
Okay. Nate, what you think, man? Do you think that Dolph takes another win? Do you think Rusev finally gets a win? Do you think Summer Rae might get her son?
Unfortunately, this is where the match should have ended. The feud should have ended, I think. But unfortunately, Lana got hurt. Because I think the logical conclusion, the logical culmination of all of this was a mixed tag. And then you can split the people off into 4 separate ways, because I don't think anybody's been done a real benefit to this storyline. Dolph Ziggler is not nearly as hot as he was a few months ago. Even though Lana's still over, she's always going to be over. She's always going to be out front because what she's got in back. She is not nearly as over as she was. Summer Rae, same thing. And Rusev, maybe worst of all. We talked about this last week, Felix. Go back to WrestleMania and see how hot Rusev was and where he is now. Where, like, he still plays his character really well. Like, I still laugh 2 weeks ago when he was on Raw. You have betrayed me. Like, he makes me laugh. He's a good performer. But he's being wasted in this silly feud. But unfortunately, it's going to continue because I don't see any end in sight. They may drag this thing because Lana's not going to be cleared to return for at least 3 or 4 months, I think. So they may drag this thing on through the rest of the year, Felix. And because of that, I'm gonna say Rusev wins, and we'll get more hijinks and TMZ style stuff on Raw the following night.
Yeah, TMZ, you hit the nail on the head with that one. Almost like when the TMZ broke the story of Darren Young being the first gay wrestler to come out of the closet, which wasn't true, but that's another story.
Speaking of that, real quick, before you go to Mike, did you catch when I think Darren Young was wrestling on Monday night, and Xavier Woods had the trombone, and he started playing the Pink Panther theme. I damn near died, Felix.
That trombone has become like Jimmy Hart's megaphone type of thing for him. Good comparison somewhat. Mike, what's your take on this whole Days of Our Lives scenario with Rusev and Ziggler and Summer Rae, and unfortunately Lana, who's been taken out of the picture? I still think she's going to make an appearance, honestly. That's just my opinion. So go ahead.
Well, no, I'm wondering how much of the fact is that she's hurt is she really hurt. I have wondered that. I will, because I've read that and I'm like, too much has been released about her supposed injury. Like, it just, because WWE is really guarded with stuff like that. So I'm like, I wonder if it's really true. You never really know if it's true. With that said, I'll base my opinion on the fact that let's assume she is really injured. I think Rusev wins. I don't think they'll do a double DQ again, and they'll extend this further out. This feud to me was much hotter, just a couple weeks ago, even maybe over a month ago. I was really into it, and it's kind of just fizzled down a little bit, and that's kind of unfortunate. Nate made a good point. I hadn't even thought about it. Man, Rusev was so hot around WrestleMania time, and now we're getting to the point where it's like, it's kind of a mid-card match. Nobody's really talking about it. It's just fizzled. It's kind of dissipated. But I will go with Rusev, but it's definitely not the last go round. This ain't the end of this thing.
And gentlemen, we have to say, New Day rocks.
Oh yeah,
Day rocks. Because we're coming into the tag. These guys, and we've been talking about this for the last couple of months. Going back to even our Battleground breakdown that we did a few months ago. Who would have thought these three men coming into this whole scenario, and we're going to come over as healed, as they were going to come in as hated. They're still kind of hated, but at the same time, they're more over now than when they started. As two-time tag team champions, Kofi Kingston, Big E, Langston, that's a big dude. And they see the kind of stuff he's doing the angel thing on the ring there. God, he needs to stop doing that. Xavier Woods, and now they got them the Dudleys. They're back. I thought that was pretty sweet to see them come back. The reaction in the Brooklyn crowd, was that hot. I've been waiting for them to come back for 10 years, obviously. They keep calling them the most decorated tag team in wrestling history. Some can't deny that, but some might argue that. That's another story. Coming into this, do you think the Dudleys were thrown into the title picture too soon? Do you think they should have worked a little harder? Do you think their record, their legacy speaks for itself? Do we have new tag team champions? Nate, I'm going to go with you first, man. What you think about this whole tag team scenario? Obviously, they picked the primetime players out of it, so now we've got a regular tag team match. I was thinking maybe it'd be a triple threat, but what's your take, man?
No, I don't think they were brought back too soon and given the title shot too soon because, to be honest, they've given life to the division. Other than the New Day, that division was going nowhere fast. And I'm someone who is a fan of the Lucha Dragons, who is a fan of the primetime players. And I'm even a fan of Los Matadores, even though, A, I hate that little bull, and B, I never heard of a Puerto Rican matador, but that's okay. That's besides the point. But I think that the Dudleys are going to win, and here's why. I think that, A, they're going to add another title because I think, what are they saying, they're 9-time champions, or did they go back and add the TNA numbers in?
No, they didn't. They're still technically a 9-time.
So I think they're going to win it. They're going to win the titles and be the 10-time champions because this also gives you fuel for the rematch where the New Day get to come back. And because the New Day by far are one of the most entertaining things on the program, and all three of those guys are great in their roles. So while I like to see them keep the title and have the Dudleys chase them for a while, I think they're going to pull the trigger early, give the Dudleys the title, and then do the chase in the reverse way.
Okay, but now let me ask you guys a question to think about as well. Before we jump to the other two panelists here, Nate, do you see old Spike Dudley return into this whole mix, or do you think it's pretty much he's done?
I mean, eventually. I don't know if he'll show up at this show, but eventually that would be something I'd love to see because it just makes sense. And Spike Dudley has gone on social media and mentioned he's available. He's not doing anything right now, so that'd be cool for who knows, maybe a
Survivor Series, maybe.
Yeah, Survivor Series type show, or even one of these big Raws. Like if they've got another big Raw like the Raw in Brooklyn a few weeks ago, that could be your co-main event on one of those big time Raws. But I'd love to see it. I think Spike is a talented guy, and it'd be cool to see him back at least one more time.
Okay. And Mike, do we got new tag team champions, or does New Day retain? Well, that kind of sounds lame.
You got about as much rhythm as Triple H, brother Felix.
I know. This big Mexican guy can't dance, he can't sing. So
oh man. Hey, okay. So I'm predicting New Day retains. However, it would not surprise me if they do give it to the Dudleys. My only concern if they do it that quick, though, I think it's too quick. I think even though they're legends. I mean, they're the Dudley boys. I mean, I don't even need to stress what that means. I'd rather see WWE take a little while longer before they get them. I don't think they should switch them right now. So for that, I'm gonna say New Day retain. Of every match on the card, to be honest with you, I think this is the top one I'm looking at that I can't wait to see. I'm really looking forward to it. It's just New Day is just, come on, it's so awesome. Xavier Woods sitting on the apron while a match is going on with the wah 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 wah. It's just ridiculous. I mean, who comes up with that? It's just great. So really looking forward to them. Really looking forward to the Dudleys. I really like both of those teams. I like what Nate said because I've been thinking about that. I'm like, do they bring Spike back for this? I've really thought about that long and hard. I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I could be wrong. However, I do see that maybe in the future.
And Mr. Frank, man, you know what? Are you
I'm ready.
A fan of the New Day? You New Day rocks, where they save the tables, or are you Dudley boys and get the table? Get the table. I think that's what they go for.
Here's how I think it's going to play out. I think it's going to be a great match. Both teams are really over on that. I think the New Day, has babyface type qualities. I think how I think the match is going to end. I think Devon's going to turn on Bubba because Bubba's a heel, and I think the New Day and Devon are going to jump Bubba. And just when you think Bubba's out of it, I think this music's going to hit. And
are you kidding?
I've got a problem with them too, brother.
No, I'm just playing.
That was good.
I had to throw a little humor in it.
That was excellent.
Do you think we got new tag team champions?
I think no. As much as I want to see it because the Dudleys, they've been red hot, since they came back. I agree with the other guys. I don't think that the Dudleys are going to win. I just think New Day is hot. You just keep them going, and then you build this up to a bigger pay-per-view or a bigger event on the WWE Network for $9.99, and maybe Survivor Series, they drop the titles.
Okay. I like that little Michael Cole plug that you did there for the WWE Network. Pretty cool. Good way to end it. But you know what? I have to agree with the idea of not giving them, kind of teasing it yet. Almost kind of where they almost win it, but they don't by the skin of their teeth. And New Day skips out and we got you guys. We're done with you. We're moving on. You're going to the end of the line. Well, guess what, guys? Hell in a Cell's coming right around the corner, and y'all ain't going to be able to run. And maybe that's where they bring in Spike and make it an even 3-on-3, or maybe not, and still just do the 2-on-2 and have Mr. Wah 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 outside the ring and doing his little thing with the da-dun, 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 Anyways, but I don't see them dropping it just yet. It just doesn't make sense. It's too soon. I see them maybe, like I said, just getting out of there by the skin of their teeth, and I'm talking about the New Day, retaining against the veteran tag team of the Dudley Boys. And I've been putting this one off to the end as we get closer and closer to the end of the show, as far as the end of the Night of Champions. The Divas Championship. We've got champion Nikki Bella taking on Charlotte in a rematch for the Divas title, with the stipulation that Stephanie McMahon threw in. If they are disqualified, counted out, any twin magic, Nikki loses the title. Now, again, they just wanted to prove a point, that they can put any woman in that particular position and can wipe out the memory of AJ Lee. Now that that's done, we've got a new champion. That's just my take on it. And I kind of jumped the gun here first, but I'm just saying, there's nothing holding her back now. There's no way she couldn't win it. So I'm going with Charlotte on this one. And I have to go, and I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Frank, one more time. You love you some Divas. I know you do.
I love them.
Puppies.
I love them.
I'm sorry. Do we see Bella reigning supreme, or do we have doing it with Flair?
Well, since they made a good point that she won it at midnight, which none of us believe, I see Nikki going over just because I think they want to diminish the legacy of CM Punk, and any ties to him, they're going to get any chance to do it. We saw that at WrestleMania when Triple H went over on Sting, Vince's ego in that the last WCW. So why not finish off CM Punk with any ties to him and let Nikki Bella get over, and we'll see what happens from there. Maybe, you never know, maybe they give Charlotte, they bring back the women's title and give that to her.
Well, here's the thing, guys, and I think we talked about this briefly last month, and there had been rumors, speculation, that Cena, because Cena has so much stroke backstage, that he went to bat for his girlfriend, for a girlfriend of 3 years now, and had pulled his little trump card and making it to where she could obviously not have to lose the title so soon. And I think the reason that she's been champion this long is not only because of that proven fact of AJ and Punk, but also because of Cena's power backstage. And I really believe that has a lot to do with it, because here's the thing. Nothing against the Bellas. Personally, I don't care for them. But they have come a long way and have come up quite quickly. And from my personal opinion, I'd love to see Karma come back and destroy them, but it's another story. They are who they are. They're not great wrestlers. They're great entertainers.
Hey, Felix.
That's about it. Yes, Elio.
We have a caller from 718.
Okay, give me just 1 second before you bring him through, okay?
Okay.
Let me just finish my point here, and we'll finish this off here before we bring in our caller. Caller, hang tight for a second. I lost my train of thought. Bellas cannot wrestle, but they entertain. Look at Total Divas if you don't believe me. Coming out of this one, I'm going with Charlotte, as obviously, and Frank was talking about that as well. Now, do you watch Total Divas, Frank? Frank, you still there? Did we lose Frank?
No, he's still on.
Okay, well, I thought I lost you there, Frankie.
Oh, it started losing connection, but I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Just want to make sure you were there. Do you agree that Charlotte will come out of this victorious? Do you think we'll have a new champion? I didn't hear completely everything you said, so I apologize.
No, don't even worry about it. I think I want to see Charlotte get over. I think she's a great wrestler. I enjoy her little rendition of her own side of Ric Flair, and I think Nikki Bella's taking it.
Okay, fair enough. And Mike, what's your take? New champion, or does the Bella legacy continue?
I think if I was WWE, they've already made a bunch of people mad. I would lean into it and just keep going with Nikki. And like we talked about in the beginning, Felix, everybody's going to keep watching. Everybody's going to keep talking about it. They'll fuss, but they ain't going to turn the channel. I promise you. So I'm going to go with Nikki just based on that.
And Nate, God help us all, is the Bella legacy going to continue on, or do they finally, does the kingdom of Belladome crumble? You can look, but you can't touch, you know.
Yeah. You know that, Felix. You know that's why you hating on him, man. Because all you can do is look.
Okay.
That's why he's hey, Nate.
That might
Nate,
be a little true.
That's why he's hating, because he can look. That's funny. I'm sorry. You can look, but you can't touch. I can't say it, but go ahead.
Keep on dreaming to the stars above, Felix. I think that we're going to see a new champ. I think that, the stuff with Cena, that might be true, but even if John Cena didn't say a word to them about making sure his girlfriend kept the title, Nikki Bella is the type of person that they like anyway. Like, she's that type of person that they want front and center for their women's division or their divas division. She's doing the total diva stuff. She's somebody that they can put on Entertainment Tonight. Like, that's who has traditionally been someone that Vince McMahon would like. Now that Triple H is getting a little bit more influence, you're starting to see girls like Sasha, girls like Charlotte, Becky, Paige start to get a little bit of shine. And so I think we're gonna see Nikki Bella lose. But here's the thing. I think they'll probably do a rematch on Raw. Charlotte wins again, retains the title. But then we get the Paige swerve, because they've been hitting that note pretty hard, that Paige is going to turn. And I think we get Paige and Charlotte at Hell in a Cell next month.
I like that. I don't see Paige winning it, but I like it. I do like it because they've given her the opportunity twice already, and they need to let the first meet come in and have a run with it before they can put it back on her. But that's just my opinion. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Now we come to the double main event. Mr. Seth, I'm whiny, complaining Rollins. Mr. Wham, my statue is broken. Wham, and the other dude that called in, Austin, is going to be crying along with him. He's doing double duty. He's got double duty tonight, or Sunday night. First off, we'll go with the United States title because it's Cena. Well, I think he played this very smart. I think they did this, WWE did this very smart. Because Seth Rollins, hate him or not, he's definitely the hottest thing they got going right now. And they're sticking it to him, giving him a no-win situation. Now, he's got two different scenarios. He can either win it all or lose everything. And if he wins it all, they're going to continue on that ride and make you hate him even more and feed you all that stuff about how he's the greatest of all time. Everybody's name except they never mentioned Hogan, brother. But that's another story. Coming into this, Nate, we'll go with this first match. Do we see a new United States champion? Does Seth Rollins have one more up his sleeve? Do we see the return of Jon Stewart?
Yes, no, and no. I hope we have a new champion because, frankly, I don't think they should have made the title match at SummerSlam a title versus title. I think losing the John Cena U.S. Open Challenge has hurt Raw in the past few weeks because you always guaranteed at least one really good 15, sometimes 20-minute match. And I think that's what Raw's been missing. So I think Cena is going to get his U.S. title back because, frankly, Seth Rollins, A, doesn't need it, and B, hasn't done anything with it since he's won it.
Okay, I can give you that. And I want to go over to Frank. Do we see a new United States champion? Does Cena come back and we go on with the Cena United States title marathon matches that he does, which created himself a new six moves of doom kind of thing, maybe 7.
Well,
do we see a new United States champion or do we not see one? What do you think?
Felix, Nate, Mike, for about 2 hours today, I sat there and I had these two matches, and for the first time, and I'll be honest, in a long time, I'm a little confused because you can't have Rollins lose both titles, in one night. And I know we're just talking, right now about the United States Championship, which I'll stick with, but wow, it's confusing because the way we're set with, like, for example, the movie Scream, when he said there's certain rules to a horror movie, there's certain rules for professional wrestling. This time it's like, wow, how can you do it with, what are we supposed to do as the right way to do. And I don't know. If you, how can he lose twice in one night? And how could you? You can't have Sting lose. I'm sorry that I'm going out of the subject, but you can't have Sting lose twice. And it's tough. If I have to pick one, the United States title might not mean nothing to Seth Rollins, so I say that Cena wins.
Okay. And Mike, what's your take, man? Do you think Cena continues on as the United States champion? I know they're going to move him into the world title picture eventually, just not now. Do we see a United States champion? Does Rollins continue to hold that title and it continue to mean nothing? What's your take, Mike?
I think Cena wins. I think he gets it back. I kind of agree with Frank. I am curious though how it ties into the other match, which I have, my thoughts on. But if I had, it wouldn't surprise me either way if Seth retained it. But I think Cena wins. I think he's John Cena. I mean, yeah, he'll win. He wins. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, but I do think. I wonder though how it's going to play with what happens with Rollins and Sting. Let me just say this: there's more to this than just what you see on the surface. I think we all know that. There some kind of card or something will be pulled as this plays out, those two matches.
Elio, do we have that pain in the butt chiming in again?
We do.
Elio?
We do.
Do we have that pain?
Do.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Austin. I knew you'd come back. You seem to never.
Why do you guys keep on taking me off? Like, what do you have to be afraid of? Seriously, I'm on a phone
line. Why do we have to be
across
afraid of?
97,000 miles, and you're taking me off of a phone line over a radio station called Pipebomb Radio. It's insane.
You know what? The talking police need to pull you over because you got a speed limit for talking too goddamn fast. Now chill out. Now I knew you're chiming in because you knew you had the 2020 kind of thing where you can kind of figure out that we're talking about your boy because somehow maybe your ears are burning or something. Cause we're ready for that title picture.
You keep on saying, "Oh, Seth Rollins is going to pull the trump card," and just for a few seconds here, I want to, give a shout out to my good buddy Donald Trump taking over the elections this year. It's going to be great.
Donald Trump. Wow.
Donald Trump, and it's actually I had a meeting with him and Jon Stewart a couple weeks ago after we helped Seth win the title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, he's definitely got the money to chime in on my damn show. I take money. I take bribes, Donald. Shoot me a bribe, man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I just don't understand where you guys get off from the fact of saying that, Seth Rollins has been given this title his entire time being the WWE champion. It doesn't make any sense. He's won it fair and square, and every single title defense he's been a part of has been down the middle. I mean, I've never seen anything like this title run in my life. He is truly an inspiration to children across the world.
Okay, fine. I'll let you have your opinion on that, but I'm going to pose a question to you, Austin, since you seem to be the know-it-all, end-all kind of thing for Rollins.
Thank you.
What the hell is the point of him having the U.S. title when he doesn't defend it? A title needs to be defended. Now, let's not get into the Divas thing because we already moved on from that. But the United States title needs to be defended like every other championship. Now, obviously, he got backed into a corner, but it doesn't seem to be fitting to have him have the United States title if he's not going to defend it. It's just an extra trophy around his shoulder.
He doesn't have to.
Why
he doesn't
not?
have to defend a title when he has a statue, when he had a statue, until that vigilante Sting
What
pushed
makes him
into
better than anybody
trash
else?
compactor.
What makes him better than anybody else that he doesn't have to defend his title?
Did you just hear what I just said?
Exactly.
He has a statue.
Yeah, I've already made my point.
He has a statue, and John Cena didn't have a statue. That's why he kept on defending the United States Championship every single week to raise the funds. I'm not finished. To raise the funds in order to get one for himself. He was jealous. He's jealous of guys like the Ultimate Warrior, guys like Bruno Sammartino, guys like Andre the Giant, who has a statue in WWE HQ right now, and he doesn't. Seth Rollins is dead, and Sting had to do something about it. I'm pissed off.
Silence, young man. Silence for just a second. Give that mouth a rest. All right. United States title. We're moving out of that. I'm going to go with Cena taking it because there's really no need for Rollins to have it. Moving into the world title picture. Before you start going, Motormouth, chill for a second. Sting. 6-time WCW champion. NWA champion. A legend in the world of professional wrestling anywhere in the world that you think of. He's wrestled in all of the... I'm not done yet. He's wrestled everybody and anybody that you can think of. Coming into this, going for a title he has yet to win. He stands a very good chance of coming out leaving the winner. But does he really, though? Now, I'm going to go to you, Frank, real quick. We're going to go through everything, and everybody's going to say their piece before Austin goes off at the mouth again and starts poo-pooing over everything. Frank, what you think about the idea of Sting becoming WWE champion?
I am all for it, man. And the reason I'm saying that, I wouldn't have said that before, but how do you get over what happened between him and Triple H at WrestleMania? Like, where does he go from there? To me, in my eyes, you can't. If this is all paying off to the big payday that, I'm not sure about the rest of the guys, or me and you, Felix, are hoping for at WrestleMania with Sting and Taker that we've been begging for, If this is what you can't have, how can you have Sting go 0-2 to WrestleMania? I just can't see it happening, and I think my personal opinion is, you were so much disappointed in the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. You had a bunch of fights that we all know that it's predetermined, but this could be a great match because these guys, trust me, if they're going to put 100,000 people in the audience, I'm sure they're not going to disappoint between Sting and Taker. So I think Sting should go over, and I think it was Mike that was saying. I'm pretty sure it was Mike that was saying that, there's a lot more, underneath the surface because we have somebody coming back to Madison Square Garden next month. We never know what's going to happen. I see Sting coming out as victorious.
Okay. And Mike, I'm going to go over to you. I know you're a WCW fanatic, as many of us are from way back when. Does Sting finally get that big one that has eluded him all these years? Do we call him champ after Sunday?
Let me say this. If so, it will be one of the shortest reigns in WWE title history. I have trouble envisioning Vince saying, sure, we'll give it to him, and he deserves it, but as much as he deserves it, I don't know if I want to see it. I just don't.
So keep that in consideration, guys, with the idea that they keep throwing Sheamus into the picture too.
Right. That's what I said. If he wins it, I don't know if he's going to be one of the shortest lived ones in history. I'm going to go with Rollins, but it wouldn't shock me if Sting got it. But if he gets it, it's going to be a real short reign, real short.
That's a disappointing part of it all. But Nate, you and I definitely talked about this as well. Nate, you and I have talked about this many times. The whole thing with Sting and going back to WrestleMania, many people were really disappointed with the whole Triple H Sting match, and they decided to kill that disappointment with throwing in a little nostalgia, even though it didn't make any sense. And then you fast forward several months later, Sting's back in the picture, going for Triple H's handpicked guy for the world title that's eluded him all these years, that he's never won, that he's there in the company to try to win. Do we see a new champion? Can he hold it for more than one day? Hell, for more than 10 minutes? Obviously we're going to see a new champion. I have a feeling, but it may not be what everybody hopes. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this one, Nate.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a big Sting fan. Sting's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And like Mike said, he certainly deserves the opportunity, but he's not going to get it. And if he does get it, they'll do something like the Sheamus cash-in. Like in a perfect world, Sting would win because of some authority incompetence, which would further stoke the fires of the Seth Rollins Triple H feud that Austin doesn't want to acknowledge. But it's coming. It's coming down the pike. But I think that in a perfect world, Sting would beat Rollins. You'd have Sheamus come in and fail to win on his cash-in because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really is excited about a Sheamus world title run at this point. And then the following month, you go back to Sting and Rollins at Hell in a Cell. Because let's say Rollins does beat Sting. Is there really any clear-cut number one contender for him right now other than Sting? Like, they pulled Sting out of thin air, literally. And I think they'd be in the same situation next month. So my heart says Sting should win and keep the title for at least a month, but my head says Rollins is going to win, and even if Sting does win, he'll only have the belt for like 5 minutes.
All right, Motormouth. I know you've been chomping at the bit to say something. Say your piece about
I don't know what Nate has his head and his heart in the wrong places every single time he speaks. He says anything. And I want you to know this: that Triple H and Seth are doing very well right now. Last week, I have you know, they were enjoying a pumpkin spice latte. They were enjoying a pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks together. I was with them. Okay, just chiming in on what exactly we're going to do this thing come 5 days, 4 days, whatever it is, until we're champions. Now, I don't know where a guy comes off, 6 times WCW champion, and then he gets a title shot by pushing over a statue of a legend. I have no clue where anything, in history where that is taken as inspirational.
Okay. Dare I ask?
If you don't see how this does not make any sense at all. I have no clue why you're even doing a wrestling show.
Here's the thing, Austin. The fact that you would say this thing has no credibility to come up against Seth Rollins is a joke, because Seth Rollins is good, but he's far from great. He's far from it, because he has the potential to be great. And the way that they're building up this match and this whole thing with and this going back to what we were talking about, Nathan, a couple of weeks ago, was the whole how Sting was coming out talking about he has respect for Triple H and that Seth is not the man Triple H is, and yada yada. It's building towards something. And if you can't deny, if you can't agree with that, then you're delirious. You're in another world, because a student versus teacher type scenario is coming, and we will see a Triple H versus Seth Rollins. And God help you, because I know you're going to be torn for that one. My point in this is that we will see a new champion. So that's the question of the night. Who's going to lead?
I guess you don't see who's looking in the shadows. You don't see Kane. You don't see J&J Security lurking in the shadows, and you never know when they're going to come out. But I know
those
Sting,
little twerps are not going to come out. And you know what? Kane
twerps
is
You're
irrelevant.
like a high school bully.
Who, me? Just because I can put both of them in my pocket? Please.
Well, just because you post a bunch of inspirational posts to Instagram because you're doing a fitness challenge doesn't mean anything.
I know you ain't digging at my personal shit now. You need to just step back, son. Step back.
I still don't know why Elio lets this man on the air. After all the money you and I pay Elio, we reward this man handsomely, and he still lets Austin on the air week after week.
Elio, cut him off. He's done. He said his piece. That being said, guys, I'm all about opportunity and speaking your mind and power. What's it, the freedom of speech. I'm all for it. You can say what you like. It's a free world. We're entitled to say what we'd like, and he has. Coming into this whole situation, the pay-per-view is booked the way it is. Some matches thrown together, some matches were not. It's a situation where, like I said, he's going to either win it all, leave as the biggest and the baddest, and then we'll never hear him shut up. I'm talking about Austin, or even for that matter, Rollins. Or he's going to lose everything, come into Raw and be whining about the whole thing. And like you said, we will see. I really believe in my heart we will see a new champion crowned. Who is going to be is the question. Without question, we will see Cena have that U.S. title back. I don't have any doubts in my mind. I'd like to see Sting have it. Maybe going into Survivor Series is where I'd like to see him lose it. But again, I'm going with more emotion than anything else, more heart, more what I would like to see, the kid in me would like to see. But again, this has a lot to do with ego. And we all know the old man's got a big-ass ego. The genetic jackhammer just don't like to lose. And he likes to rub your face in it when he does win. But that being said, that is your Night of Champions matches. Unless something else pops up. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun before we take our caller who's been waiting patiently, and I know we haven't forgotten about you. But I'm going to pose a question to the three of you. And Frank, I'm going to start with you.
All right.
You like to pose these questions to me all the time. And since we're on the air and we can be heard everywhere in the world, including outer space, believe it or not, you have been a fan for well over 20 years, like myself, like Nate, like Mike. You've seen a lot of greats come and go. One of your things you like to do, to me anyways, that we've always talked about is narrowing down your top, we'll go with 5, top 5 feuds of in this generation or any generation, past or present, whatever. Some of your all-time favorite feuds, let's say top 5.
Wow, that's that's a good question, Felix. First two things I want to say before. I want to apologize. I don't condone Hulk Hogan. It was just a joke. I'm a local comedian. I didn't want to offend none of the viewers and like that. I don't condone what he did. I just wanted to bring some laughter. And then number 2.
I thought you were on my side, brother.
Oh, you're the best, Nate. You're the best, Nate. And then number 2, Felix, I'm proud of you on your journey where you've been coming from, man. You work really hard at your goal, and I'll just leave it at that. You're a good guy, Felix. Oh, and then I have I want to thank, and before I answer the question, because I'm thinking of the feuds in my head and trying to pass time, I just want to thank Nate, Mike, Felix, and Helio for allowing me to come on the show. It means a lot to me. And to the guys at Pipebomb, I think you guys should do something pretty cool for you guys as listeners. And I think maybe Nate knows this too. I think you guys should post a belt that's been forgotten since we're talking about Night of Champions, the 95 King of the Ring belt that was made for King Mabel. Maybe you guys should post it on Pipebomb. Did a lot of interesting things, you know.
Wow.
Post a picture. You never know who hasn't seen that belt yet. I'm pretty shocked. I still get goosebumps when I see it.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So my top 5 feuds. I mean, okay. I have to put Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon on there. That was that to me that was one of the greatest feuds, because that match at King of the Ring, that was one to remember. I'll never forget it. That one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. Kurt Angle versus. If you guys haven't seen it, I suggest you go. WWE Network $9.99. Check it out. Another feud I'm going to go with is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. I think that was a great feud as well. They had a great cage match at SummerSlam. If you get a chance to check it out, go ahead and see that match at SummerSlam. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with Hogan and Sting. The way that was built up, and this is going off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure if I had time to sit down, it would go, but Hogan and Sting was such a great feud that the way it ended at Starrcade, like the whole NWO and the whole Sting, it was amazing. Number 2, I'm going to have to go with Bret Hart again and Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 12 was an amazing match, and the feud they had was amazing. And the number 1 feud in all of sports entertainment, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mr. McMahon. It doesn't get better than that.
Wow. Okay. I figured you would go Stone Cold and Rock, but that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to go over to you, Mike. Same question. If you can narrow it down to your top 5 just off the top of your head, what would you go with and why? All right. Come on, Mike.
Oh, my goodness, that's a tough one, Felix, because I've been watching wrestling since the early 80s. I mean, I was born in 75, and I grew up on Mid-South wrestling. So with that said, Mid-South and world-class championship wrestling out of the sportatorium. With that said, I don't know if I can put it in an order, but I got to say Rock and Austin. So don't quote me on the order, but Rock and Austin would definitely be up there. I'd have to go Austin and McMahon for sure, because that was just magic. Give me the Freebirds and the Von Erichs in there too, like somewhere, because that was just gold back in the world class days. Give me the stuff Flair and Dusty did back in the day as well.
Hard times, brother. Hard times.
Yeah, exactly. And the 5th one, I'm trying to think of a good tag one, but I can't really think of one off the top of my head, because I was big into tag teams back in the day too, but I just can't narrow it down. There's back then there was just so much when it came to tags. So, but those would be my 4. Okay.
And Nate, I know you definitely go back to the world class days, to so many different organizations that were back during the 80s and 90s. If you could narrow it down to 5, if you can, what would they be?
Yeah, in terms of a tag one I was thinking about that's not going to be in my top 5, but it's certainly in my top 10 would be the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express.
I was just thinking about that.
But my top 5, I got Freebirds, Von Erichs. I got Austin versus Rock. And then I've got 2 with Flair. I got Flair versus Sting, the feud that kind of put Sting on the map. And then maybe my favorite feud of all, which is Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. And then my last one, maybe the most important feud of all, and Brother Mike knows this well because when I was on Booking the Territories, this was a big part of our conversation, the feud that changed the whole industry going forward, WWF versus WCW.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Very true.
Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. And I'm going to go to each of you here. Well, I guess I could name my top 5, but I'll pass because I don't think people want to hear me talk too much. I'd rather hear
Brie
my guys
Bella
talk
versus
here.
Nikki Bella versus Paige.
Ouch.
Nikki Bella versus Oksana. Admit it, Felix. You're part of the Bellabration.
I'm a closet Bella fan, right? No, I don't think so. Well, I'll go out on a limb and say because it is very hard to narrow it down because there were so many great matches and eras that came through over the last 20, 30 years. If I had to go off the top of my head right now, I could go with Undertaker, Mankind. Most people are expecting me to say that. I could go with Randy Savage. I could go against Hogan, possibly even Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, DDP. Basically, anybody he got in the ring with was gold. Go with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels, maybe. Those two, they had some great matches. It would have been better to maybe go with Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, but Bret was already, unfortunately, not around at that time. If we go with maybe Austin, you can't deny Austin and McMahon. You can't deny Punk and Cena, or even for that matter, Cena and Orton. Even though we've seen both those matches 550,000 times. I kind of lean towards more of a Punk versus Cena because it was that thing that Nate was talking about, that the older generation liked, whereas the ones that the younger generation liked when they clashed. And it was just one for the ages, I will say. I definitely enjoyed the stuff that Flair did with Terry Funk and Sting. Speaking of the Freebirds, there is a big rumor, and I'm sure you guys have heard, that those guys are the front runners to main event the Hall of Fame next year in Dallas. What do you think the possibility is of a Kevin Von Erich inducting the Freebirds?
I think that'd be an excellent choice, and having spoken to Kevin on this show, man, he'd have the greatest induction speech in the world, and I think it'd be really cool. And that Texas crowd in the arena or the ballroom or wherever that night at the Hall of Fame ceremony would just go crazy to see him.
I agree. That Dallas crowd, if they're smart, they need to book him. They need to have a Von Erich on hand somehow, in some form or fashion. Just my opinion. But I don't know, Mike. What you think, man? I know you're going back to those days of the Freebirds and the Von Erichs. Would you enjoy seeing Kevin come back and induct Michael, since Michael inducted Kevin?
I think that would be good. I'd love to see that. That era was so magical. Those guys were so magical. It's unreal. I've heard personal stories from guys that were there at that time. There's just so much there, and I would love to see that. That would, and I know there's been controversy with Michael Hayes and kind of what happened with him and Mark Henry and whatnot. It's just, but I say all that, to see Kevin induct him, if that is true, that'd be something to see.
And Frank, they say controversy creates cash. Do you agree with that statement? And if so, look at the different controversies that have come up over the last several months. You go back to, it's not even a controversy if you think about it, but you go back to passing of the late great Roddy Piper, and this was right at the height of this Hulk Hogan scandal. Now, some say, and Bret Hart most specifically, he pointed it out. He hates Hogan with a passion, and he says Hogan is probably counting his prayers that Roddy died when he did, because it took away the attraction that Hogan brought into this with this whole scandal that he caused. What do you think about scandals? Do they really create that much controversy? And if so, controversy creates cash. Do you believe that eventually it will lead to Hogan making one more return to WWE, or is he done? His ties are severed once and for all.
The Hogan thing's a very sensitive issue, especially with what's going on in the world right now. There's plenty of bad people out there, but I believe there's a lot of good people out there. I do believe everybody deserves a second chance in life, But if we saw what he said on the Good Morning America show, he didn't want to take responsibility of what he said, so maybe he shouldn't come back. As big as he was with the history of the business, maybe he shouldn't come back. He should have just took responsibility and apologize for what he said. Nobody's perfect, Anytime you point a finger, there's three that's pointing back at you. But I was for Hogan coming back, but he didn't apologize what he meant. He didn't really sincerely, to me, in my eyes, I don't think he sincerely meant it. So I can't see Hogan coming back. And Vince is almost at the end of his road too. So with Paul and Stephanie at the helm, maybe we did see the last of Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother? Well, here's the thing. Now, Elio had advised me earlier that we do have a caller that has been waiting in to chime in on the conversations we've had so far. I'm not sure if he's still on the line. Elio, is he still there?
Yes, he is.
All right, area code 718. You're on with Frank. You're on with Mike. You're on with Nate, and you're on with Felix.
Hey,
what's
up, guys?
your take on everything that's been going on? I'm pretty sure you've been listening to the conversation thus far. What would you like to share with us?
I like the Night of Champions. I think it's going to be good. I would like to see Seth Rollins keep the fire going, but I think he'll lose the U.S. belt. Got some interesting takes on what's going to happen. I think Rollins is going to keep his world belt until Survivor Series. I think there's going to be, I think Sheamus will come in and kick the wrong guy, and Seth Rollins will keep his belt for a while.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
I can see either. The way to start the Triple H Seth Rollins feud, I could see he's either leaning towards Sting or he's leaning towards Sheamus and say, "You're not the guy." But I don't know as far as what the story will go. But it's either one or the other. I could see him losing the Survivor Series.
Okay.
As far as the Bellas, I see Nikki keeping the belt, and I see instead of Charlotte winning it, I could see her the next night on Raw getting jumped by her by Paige, and I could see that whole thing in bursting their team. But I see Sasha beating Nikki. I think Sasha will be the next champ.
Oh, okay. Interesting take, man.
And I could see Rusev being the next Mark Marrow.
Mark Marrow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember
name I haven't heard in a while.
I remember Stone Cold saying that he was supposed to start a feud with Mark Marrow, but when he saw the night before on the pay-per-view, I forgot the pay-per-view when Sable powerbombed Mark Marrow, how he said he didn't want to fight with him no more, and I hope that the same thing don't happen to Rusev.
Wow. Okay. I like that. That's a different take, and that's what I definitely dig about these conversations, because everybody's got an opinion and a different outlook on matches that maybe none of us are really thinking about. That's awesome. I dig that. Did you have a question for either one of the panelists, or maybe your take on Monday Night Raw? Anything else that we've discussed tonight?
One of the points you guys made that I wanted to agree with all of you actually. It's more of a comment more than a question, but
okay.
as far as the IC belt and you guys were right about that, because okay, back in the days when you were IC champ, you were number one contender, or you were that next man to get that bump up to see where you were going as far as winning the belt. The last couple Intercontinental champions, they weren't even in the top 5 as far as contenders. I mean, Barrett was never. There was no. I mean, when Barrett was champ, you never said, you know what, he's gonna be the next champ. Or
sadly, no.
You know, you don't even see Ryback. You know what? He's number one contender. He's not. So that's the
thank
point.
God he's not.
Yeah. I can see him, as far as that, I can see him keeping the belt, but he'll lose it the next pay-per-view to Kevin Owens. I think they want to see that feud. Like I said before, I think as far as they want to see that feud as who's the next guy that's going to really take on Brock after the Brock Undertaker thing ends.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as that, I see also you guys did your top 5 feuds of all time. Those are all good. I mean, I definitely picked the Von Erichs, Freebirds, Road Warriors, Arn and Tully, Dusty Flair, Triple H versus The Rock. I like that how they both started out as, you know what I'm saying, gimmick guys, and then they both had their own crew and they were still feuding, and then they reached world championship status and they started feuding again. So I like that feud.
All right.
And Austin McMahon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gotta throw that one in there somewhere.
Which is good. Yeah. And then my last thing. I mean, not to change the subject, but as far as movies, I saw the new trailer for Creed, and that looks pretty good. You guys should check it out.
Definitely comes out in November, right around my birthday. Woo. I'll be heading to the movies. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in tonight, and hopefully we'll hear from you again maybe next week or thereafter.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks
guys.
for tuning in, man.
And as always, I definitely, for all of you, when you guys come in and talk, and I definitely agree with everything you guys say, and I'm glad this show's on.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good night, fellas.
You too, man.
You too. We're gonna go into a segment here that we did last week, and I think it worked out pretty good. Because I talked about it last week and the fact that I went to see Straight Outta Compton. I enjoyed it, but he brought up an interesting topic. You know, as far as the movies go, what movies have you guys kind of gone to see or watched recently that really caught your eye that you didn't think you'd actually watch, or even one that you've been dying to see that you've already seen? Frank, have you seen any good movies lately? You take out the wife and go see a movie, or what?
I'm trying to think. The last movie I saw in the theaters. Oh, it's been that long. Wow. You know what? The last movie I saw was The Fast 7. I saw in the theater with The Rock. It was all right. It was pretty good.
Did you cry?
I sure did. I have a question for the panel though.
Go for it.
I have a question for anybody on the panel that, it's an easy question. It's about the WWF Championship. What champion went, I believe, 11 years without a title reign, and he won the title? He lost the title 11 years later, won it back again.
It wasn't Bruno, was it?
No.
The Backlund?
Ding, 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 ding. He got it.
I was going to say that one. No.
Good old Crazy Bob.
All right.
Yep.
And what about you, Mike? I mean, have you gone to the movies lately? What's new in entertainment for you, man?
Man, I with my hectic schedule between work and everything and kids, and I coach youth sports, I have not been to the movies, and I couldn't tell you the last time. That's honest to God. And I do want to see, I am dying to see Straight Outta Compton. I could just tell you that now. But I haven't been to the movies, and it's been a long time. It's been a while.
All right. Nate, man, have you gotten the chance to get out of the kitchen and get to the movies?
No, not since the last time we talked, but I am looking forward to Creed. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the new Star Wars, even if Billy D's not in this one.
Billy D.
Yeah, there's some good movies on the horizon.
Yeah. All right. Now, as we start to wind down the bits of the show, I'm going to go to each of you I'll start with you, Mike. And I want you to plug what you guys are doing, what you guys got coming up, what you guys are working on. Anything you guys are ready and willing to plug tonight, the forum is yours. Mike, we'll start with you, man. What you guys got coming up on the horizon for booking the territory or any of the other projects you got doing?
Oh, no. Felix, I always tell you thank you, man. I really appreciate you letting me come on and be a panelist and give my thoughts and opinions about the pay-per-view like we did last month. So, as always, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it because you don't have to do that and you do, so I'm very thankful for that. As you know, I have my own show, Booking the Territory podcast. It pretty much drops every Wednesday. We record usually on Tuesday night, so every Wednesday we have episodes up. This week I had on Khan Abadi from Hood Slam. I forget where you're at in California. Oh, you know him.
I know who he is. I do.
Okay. I had on Khan from Hood Slam. Last week I had on Trina Michaels. She was doing she did an interview with me a few weeks ago, and it aired last week. I can't announce who I have next week just yet, but I will tell you this: it is a former WWE star, and his story is extremely interesting. So I will post more about that. Just make sure that follow Booking the Territory at BTT_podcast on Twitter. And we're on Facebook, facebook.com/Booking the Territory. I'll make that announcement. I can't do it just yet, but I will. But,
okay.
Again, Felix, I greatly appreciate you letting me come on and talk to you and Nate and Frank, and just really appreciate it. Thanks again, man.
No problem. And you guys get great reactions to your show. I actually was allowed to come on to your show a couple weeks ago and had a good time. You had interesting conversations, and you guys get great reaction to your show, good conversation, good topic, good idea as far as booking the territory, booking the matches, how would they do it, and answering questions from your Twitter and Facebook followers and such. So if you haven't checked it out, guys, I encourage it. They do a great job. And
it's been organic, Felix. I did want to say that when we first set out on the show, it was to kind of review, what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, and we start getting questions, and before you know it, the questions are to where literally my co-host gets, I hate to say the word heat, but he gets heated with some of the guests. It's insane, and we actually, it's turned into just, us having fun and interacting with the fans, and it wasn't what we intended at first, but that's what it turned into. So if you want to talk some wrestling and be entertained and whatnot, it's a little bit different than Pipebomb, but it's in both of them. Neither one of them is better. They're both just good.
Okay, Frank, I'm going to go to you next, man. I know you are I refer to you as my color analyst because your commentary is definitely interesting, very funny, out of the blue, and commentary that you don't always expect to hear, but you enjoy it because it makes you laugh. So I will say that. But I know you're back to the stage. You were out of action for a little bit due to health problems, but your health is back at tip-top shape, and you're back on stage doing your thing. And I keep saying, Gabriel Iglesias better watch out because you're going to be opening for him someday.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Felix, for allowing me to come on your show, and to Nate and Mike, thank you guys. You guys have been really well with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Elio, you're doing a good job as the director of the show. People can find me on my Instagram at Frankie_Fresh55. I don't have any upcoming tour dates because, like I said, like Felix mentioned, I had surgery about a month ago. So I'm in the helms of it. I was on stage last week. I will be posting some bookings, and you guys can catch me at any local comedy clubs throughout California. Go ahead
in the
and check
San Fernando
me out.
Valley, right?
Yeah, San Fernando Valley. I usually perform at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. That's where I have my residency at. You can catch me at the Comedy Store, at the Ice House. I produce my own show in Valencia, California. We were doing it bi-monthly, but I think our next show is going to be in October. I haven't got the date for that. That's pretty much it, man. And thank you all you guys for just having patience with me. And yeah, that's it.
Well, no, I got a question for you, Frank, and this was to the Roddy Piper thing because after he passed, they had two different ceremonies for him. One was obviously the private one with his family and friends, and then they did one at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. Now, are
They
you familiar
did.
with that one? And if so, have you been there since they had the funeral procession? I don't know if you want to call it a funeral, but more like a remembrance of Roddy.
I heard about it. One of my friends was got chosen to speak that night. I'm sorry about that. My English is messed up. It was a great event. The family was there. They had a couple wrestlers that were there. I believe Diamond Dallas Page was there also. His name was on the wall even before he passed away. On the they have a Legends wall. They have their great comedians, Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, and sure enough, Roddy Piper's name's up there. I do perform at the Comedy Store. I seen it up there, and from what I heard, it was a sad day that day. I didn't get a chance to go that night because I think I was still on bed rest by then. I still had wasn't able to walk yet. But it was really sad. If you guys get a chance, follow Earl Skagel on Instagram and on Facebook, and he was really close to Roddy Piper too. He's a comedian, and it was very sad. And so we lost somebody special.
Yeah, we did. Alrighty, Nate, you got some big changes in the works, my friend. I know things are popping and TNA is dropping. And I'm curious. I want if you're able, whatever you're able to tell me now as far as changes you guys got coming. You kind of talked about it a little bit last week. Whatever you can tell us now, please let us know.
Yeah. Well, first of all, shout out to Frank and brother Mike for coming on the show tonight. Had a great discussion. Shout out to the callers. Well, one of the callers. The other caller, we don't give a damn about that guy. But as Felix mentioned, man, you can hear me on a bunch of different shows. Of course, there's the Kings of Sport with myself and Marcus Vanderberg from Yahoo. Both Felix and Mike have been on the show, and this week we've got some NFL talk planned, and just a lot of great stuff. We're going to introduce some new segments and have some fun. That's the Kings of Sport. You can find that on Twitter. KOS_POD, Cosspot on Twitter, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. The other show that Felix was alluding to is currently called Review and Impact from the Fight Network in Canada, and it's myself and Brian Mann, and every week we talk about what's going on with TNA Impact on Destination America, which is getting close to their final run of episodes unless something happens at the last minute. They've got a couple weeks left, and then Bound for Glory on October the 4th, I believe. So this could be the end for TNA unless something shakes out in the next couple of weeks. And so after we do Bound for Glory, Brian and I are going to debut a new show called Keep It 100, and basically it's going to be a mixtape almost, a mixtape podcast where we talk to legends, we talk to up-and-coming cats, we talk to comedians, actors, musicians, everybody that's involved with either being a professional wrestler or being a fan of professional wrestling. It's going to be your typical wrestling podcast, just nothing like your typical wrestling podcast. And you can look forward to that starting October 9th on the Fight Network. So you can follow me on Twitter in the number 8, MOZAIK, and I'll be letting you guys know about Keep It 100 the closer we get to October 9th.
And I got to just say, both for booking the territory, anyways, Mike's show, and I know Nate, you guys stay pretty interactive with social media quite a bit, and I definitely keep track of what you guys are up to, and I got to say, you guys are very interactive and you keep it very professional. You guys do well at what you do. I know Pipebomb's been lucky enough to have Nate for, it's been over a year now. A year. And I was just talking about this with old butthead that called in earlier, Austin. He and I have our moments where we butt heads and our moments when we just, we can talk like normal human beings. And I have to say, Nate, I have to know that you have, and I'm pretty sure you agree with this, 2014 was an incredible year. We ended it on such a high note. So many shocks after shocks after shocks, from Kamala to Kia Stevens, Austin Collin, to Lanny Poffo, to Bruce Pritchard, to Tom Pritchard, to Jimmy Corderas, to the Bushwhacker. We had, it was like in August. I'm sorry, in March. And
Luke.
Yeah, we had Bushwhacker Luke. And then just so many, and then Kevin and Marshall and Ross. And, my goodness, 2014 was one hell of a year. And kicking it off this year with Bret Hart and Nigel McGuinness, you can't get no better than that. This is exactly why we've been continuing on for 4 years now. And the best is yet to come. You know, we've got some things in the works, and we've got next week's guest. We've got 2 more guests to close out the month of September. Next week's guest is a man who was trained by the Gagnes. He was trained by Greg, and he worked a little bit with Vern before he passed, and was recruited by Booker T's wrestling school, Reality of Wrestling. I don't know if it's a school company, as you can call it a company, to work out of Houston. His name is Andrew Lockhart. He comes to the show. He's still a young man. He's still young in his career, but to be trained with the Gagnes and just get an early start, early jump into the world of professional wrestling is impressive. Because the name Gagne means something. It means something really big in the wrestling world. And next week we're going to bring him on to talk about his young career thus far and where he sees himself going with the Reality of Wrestling. Where does Reality of Wrestling go from? Could they be competition for WWE one day? Knock on wood. Who's to say? You know, I'm not saying they're going to go and tackle the Giant tomorrow because that's just stupid. But next week we have Andrew Lockhart, and we've got a very big surprise coming at the end of the month. A man who will come on, and I really believe, truly in my heart, will make you smile, if anything else. Because his tribute to a wrestling icon has no doubt been talked about for the last 21 years. That's about all I'm going to say about that one. You get more information next week after we, obviously, as we lead into the September 29th show. That being said, I know Frank had to go. He just sent me a text and apologized, but his phone had already died on him, so it cut him off. But he enjoyed being on the show. His insight is always interesting, I have to say. I've known him for about 12 years, and the guy is hilarious. He's a great guy, so I definitely love having him on. Mike, it is always a pleasure, sir. Your take on a lot of the wrestling, the craziness of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, however you want to look at it, is always welcomed, and I feel like we've definitely established a good relationship with Pipebomb and with Flipping the Territory, and definitely with Pipebomb and with the Kings of Sports, because we got one of the Kings on here. You know, they call him the Godfather. You know, pimping ain't easy. And you know, and of course, he calls me El Jefe, but I don't know, or maybe Latino. I don't know about that. But we've had a good time tonight. We're wrapping it up here, guys. I know we went again another 2 hours, but who would have thought? We get into conversation, we lose track of time. Definitely check out Booking the Territory. Check out Kings of Sports. Check out Frankie around the Southern California area in the San Fernando Valley. He obviously heard his Instagram. If you haven't, then go back and listen because I'm not going to repeat it. And instead, tune into our shows next week. We've got Andrew, the Not Your Mama radio show crew will be back after Night of Champions, as they've had to tend to a few things. But they'll be back and kicking butt again next week. On behalf of Mike, Frank, and Nate, this is Felix with Pipebomb Radio saying keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Good night, everybody. Good night, Nate. Good night, Mike. Good night, Elio. Thank you, sir. Have a good night, you guys.
The one night that we wait for when it's all